A big development this week on the foreign policy front as the Biden administration brokers a ceasefire in Lebanon. Joining me to talk about it is moderator of Meet the Press, Kristen Welker. Kristen, thank you so much for being with us. I want to ask you this. What did it take for the White House to pull this off? Do you think this can lead to lasting peace in the region? We are hearing reports that the ceasefire has already been violated on both sides.
Well, you ask a couple of critical questions. First of all, can this lead to a broader cease deal? Look, the Biden administration has been working for months to try to broker this first step of a ceasefire deal between Israel and Lebanon. And of course, these ceasefire deals are always very fragile. And so the fact that you're always already seeing some skirmishes on both sides, not necessarily a surprise. The question is, will it last? And could it potentially lead, Faith, to a broader ceasefire deal and, of course, a release of the hostages? There's an immense amount of pressure on Prime Minister Netanyahu and, frankly, President Biden as well. President-elect Donald Trump saying that once he is in office, he will be able to get that ultimate deal. But make no mistake, the Biden administration working very hard, very vigorously to try to get those hostages released before President Biden leaves office. So we continue to watch day by day to see if this broader ceasefire does hold and if ultimately there can be that bigger deal to stop the fighting in Gaza and to release those hostages, Faith.
And Kristen, as for the next administration, President-elect Donald Trump says that he's set to impose tariffs on China, but also our neighbors, Mexico and Canada. Do we expect anyone within the GOP to try to step in and stop this plan ahead of Inauguration Day?
I wouldn't expect anyone to try to stop this plan. And I think the big question is this a negotiating tactic? Look, Mexico and Canada are the United States' two biggest trading partners. And of course, it was President Trump during his first term who brokered the USMCA deal with the three nations. And so this would effectively be blowing up the very deal that he helped broker. So it's a risky move. The other reason why it's risky, Faith, if he does in fact take office and impose these steep tariffs, is because it could ultimately drive up prices. Now, President-elect Trump rejects that thinking. He argues that no, ultimately prices will come down. But remember, that's a big reason why voters put him in office. They want prices to come down. So if he gets into office, if he in fact does impose these tariffs, it could be incredibly risky, politically speaking, for the incoming president. Now, he has spoken to the leaders of both Mexico and Canada at this point, and the president of Mexico saying that they had a good conversation. President-elect Trump saying that she agreed to basically stop migration, to close the borders. That's not necessarily the case, but she did agree to continue working with the United States to try to stem the flow of migrants, Faith.
Meet the Press airs Sunday morning at 10 right here on 11 Alive. Kristen Welker, thanks so much for coming on.